Ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe to this channel. This is huge. CUOMO refers former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo to Trump DOJ for criminal prosecution. This is the second New York Democrat in, about a week that has been referred for criminal prosecution. Justice gets criminal referral alleging mortgage fraud from New York Attorney General. That's LETICIA James. Within a couple of days ago, LETICIA James, the Attorney General. Now you have the former governor of New York. A couple months back, you had New York City Mayor Adams charged with bribery and campaign finance offenses. Years back, you had Anthony Weiner doing, some despicable things. And so New York Democrats, the wonderful, morally superior New York Democrats are at it again. I do think, and hit subscribe to this channel, I do think you're going to see both LETICIA James and Andrew Cuomo arrested for federal crimes, federal charges, almost certain criminal prosecution and conviction. A lot of these charges are not difficult to prove. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen.
Which was Janice's family,
but not
and a number of other people.
Not lawmakers.
And I lost my uncle, a U.S. Army captain in a nursing home, died in excruciating pain by himself. If it wasn't for my uncle, I wouldn't be here. Meaning, he's the one who sponsored my immigration paper to come to this country, so I can be part of this American dream, this American fabric, and for him to die alone like that, I made a commitment that I would seek the truth for him and for others. And in that moment, when Andrew Cuomo tried to get me to lie and to cover up his lies, that was the moment he crossed from being a regular bully in a playground to an abusive man who's willing to abuse his power to get what he wants.
Janice, what did you make of the president yesterday?
So 1/5, so about a little over 20% of all the people who lost their lives during that tragic moment in American history, made even more tragic by the apoplectic and sinister responses from a great many politicians, including Cuomo. 20% lost their lives in nursing homes. This Democrat, Andrew Kim, is a very honorable man. And I say that not because he, opposed another Democrat, because he spoke the truth, despite his political party, or in this case, the Attorney General, the governor, going after him, intimidating him. I mean, not a lot of politicians in this country, whether they're Republican or Democrat, would go and head up against a governor of his political party the way Democrat New York Assemblyman Ron Kim, or Congressman Ron Kim, did. So that's a very honorable man. But let's continue. So the charges against Cuomo, they're not going to be difficult to prove at all, and especially against LETICIA James also. I think that President Trump is obviously gearing up for the arrest, because you can't get more of, quote unquote poetic justice than all of the New York Democrats who were so, not all of them, there's some New York Democrats, like I said, like Ron Kim, who are extremely honorable and amazing. And not just because he went after Andrew Cuomo. I mean, look, there are some wonderful things they're doing from the Democratic Party's perspective, or ideology, or viewpoint, or value system that really helps people in New York. It's not just a political machine that always gets, that has full, absolute control, although it likely does at this point, like Tammany Hall. Democrats, New Yorkers continually vote for Democrats because there happen to be a lot of good Democrats, competent, wonderful Democrats like Ron Kim. Okay, on a national stage, if Democrats had somebody like Ron Kim, they could be competitive nationally. The problem, however, is that this man spoke truth to power. Democrats can't have that on a national stage, in my view, but let's continue.
Saying something to the effect of he's not a bad man. His policies aren't bad.
Disappointed.
Did a hell of a job.
I thought that videotape was from last year when he was praising him. It was going to be his attorney general. I think Joe Biden needs to, learn the facts about what this governor has done. It's not only the nursing homes, it's not only sexual assault, sexual harassment. He abused his power to give COVID family tests to his buddies, his family, and his friends while nursing homes could not get them. He used state resources to write his book, and all sorts of other corruption and I think criminal acts that hopefully will be prosecuted. So I was very disappointed in Joe Biden yesterday.
You both have said he tried to intimidate you guys. Janice, tell your story about that, and then Assemblyman Kim, tell your story.
Well, not like Assemblyman Kim. I mean, I heard from his minions, who said she's not a reliable source on anything except the weather. I heard from a family friend of theirs early on who told me, listen, you have a noble cause here, but please watch your back. And listen, social media is no fun either. People saying, weather lady, you don't know what you're talking about. But, Ron and I had a purpose. We are affected personally, and that ramps our cause up quite a bit.
Assemblyman?
Janice has been persistent through this fight. She has been psychologically impacted, her and her family, for months. So I applaud her. The fight's not over, and I will continue to partner with her to get to the accountability that we deserve. But in terms of intimidation, yes, my family felt threatened by the governor. When I got that call and multiple calls from him directly, my wife couldn't sleep for hours. My family were traumatized by that experience. But we came together as a family. We got support from people like Janice, who was there from the beginning, to give us the strength to push back and demand justice from this governor.
Indeed. And speaking of justice, Ron, he's still on the hook. There are still criminal investigations into the nursing home scandal, into whether or not state resources were used to help write his book, and
So they went after Trump, and I'm doing a lot of research and work on the upcoming New York Appeals Court victory pertaining to the $400 to $500+ million judgment against him for quote unquote against Trump for inflating quote unquote his net worth, which was completely absurd. They went after Trump in the most outlandish, overtly partisan manner. You're talking about Democrats, not Ron Kim. Unlike, there are some really, really good, even though I can't stand the Democratic Party, I have to admit, there are good Democrats out there, okay? They exist, absolutely. But if you look, CUOMO refers former New York Governor today, Andrew CUOMO, to Trump DOJ for criminal prosecution. Then you get LETICIA James, and along the list of Eric Adams, Anthony Weiner, list of Democrats. We can go on, but this is LETICIA James, which I think if you look at this, you're going to see arrests very soon.
It sure seems like, and this may be the biggest irony I've ever seen in American politics, that it looks like she's engaged in the same thing she charged President Trump with. I mean, turns out you can't have your principal residence in Virginia and be the Attorney General of New York. Turns out you can't on a mortgage form say that your dad is actually your husband, and you also can't say that you got a 4-unit property that's actually 5 units. Those are the 3 things that it looks like she did over a long period of time, and yet she had the gall to go after President Trump. You got to be kidding me. So, I think this is real. We'll see. Her comments so far, she's been kind of quiet. Of course, she does a typical thing the left always does. The left will they'll always accuse us of what they're doing.
That's pretty much what took place. Check this out.
In order to get loans. So this is well-tread areas for the Justice Department. As for James, if we apply the LETICIA James standard that she created, there'd be little question here. This seems pretty straightforward. What the administration is saying is this was not her principal residence. In fact, as a New York elected official, she had to say that her principal residence was in New York. This was an out-of-state residence. But also,
if you're out walking
that in some of these forms, she actually states that her father is her husband in order to file as a married couple. So there's a lot of those.
So it's very difficult to imagine that being made up by President Trump's administration or within the criminal referral. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Everyone who has ever devoted their lives to trying to take down Trump is having their careers and other things upended. Hit subscribe to this channel right now.